Hey, what's up? Holden here. I got no Mangone today. We got Travis. We like Travis. I was hitting him up in the Discord last night. Did not get a reply, by the way. But I was saying I was giving you compliments. So congratulations. You've been on a roll today. We're going to talk basketball because it's big Bats and Hardwood. We'll start with the NBA. Hey, Hoop, can I challenge you for something, both of you guys? I never wear a hat. Can we see your hair without the hat?
Okay.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, you're a disaster, Travis. But come
on.
I don't know why you wear a hat all the time. That's just a beautiful locks of hair.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've lucked out with the hair, to be honest with you. My dad balded at like mid-30s.
Yeah.
Everyone in my family just goes bald, and I'm mid-30s and still holding strong. I mean, I have the grays, but nothing you can do about that.
If I keep sweating on this bet side, I'm not going to have any hair left. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you got a full head. You're what? How old?
A lot older than you.
A lot older than me, but hey, you got the
only
hair.
4 people know how old I am.
I think I have an idea.
I'm pushing 50, dude.
No, you're not.
46.
No, you're not.
I'm old, man. I just look young and I act young.
You got you look younger than you are though, so that's good. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, I know,
man.
But no one
good for you
about this. I'm one of the OGs, dude. It's like me and Big T. I'm sure Uncle T has got to be older than him, right? Is Uncle T older than Big T?
I don't know. He's from Kentucky, so you know.
That was a smackdown. I don't know if he's listening right now, but good job, buddy. Let's get into this NBA here. So we got a couple games again. Milwaukee is going to try and salvage their season tonight. They're healthy. And then Miami, maybe Olynyk plays, maybe Iguodala plays. But Travis, I got to go to you first here then, because what are we doing with Giannis tonight? He was the plug and play, but is he still the guy?
Yeah. So listen, Mike Budenholzer's a moron. This is just absurd what he's doing. He's not giving his guys minutes. One thing I'll give him credit for, he tightened his rotation where he finally said, okay, Robin Lopez, you shouldn't be playing much. He started to tighten that up a bit, at least. From the first round, there's no reason that guy should have been getting any playoff run. But yeah, it's just now it's got to be a point for the Bucks. They have to be like, okay, we're not just tightening the rotation. Now we're just making sure we're going to have these guys like Marvin Williams. Marvin Williams isn't supposed to be trotting out there for 24 minutes or something. I don't know what he played last game, but this is where Giannis, when they're losing in game 2 in a series where they're down 1-0, he's not supposed to be going to the bench. You know how absurd that is? Like in the fourth quarter, Giannis needs to play the whole freaking time. It's absurd. So it's win or go home, in my opinion, right? You lose this one, I don't see how you're coming back. So I think you're going to see massive minutes from guys like Giannis and Middleton. Giannis is going to be the guy I've spent up on. I have been spending on him, and it hasn't been the best, but it hasn't burned me, right? Like, as long as you have some of the guys around it, some of these raw points plays still kind of help you get the job done. So I had 3 snowflakes on DraftKings the other day. It was kind of an anomaly, but I had them with Jimmy Butler and with Bam, 2 guys who I spent money on. It's okay. Some of these raw points will help get you there. So I'm okay with Giannis. He's my top spend up. I know there's a lot of stars on this slate, but I still think he's the best one to spend on.
Boop, give me the Giannis breakdown here in cash.
Yeah, I mean, Budenholzer is a moron. These coaches, they just try to be the smartest guys in the room, and I mean, some of them are very talented, but no clue what he's doing. Like running, was it last game or game 1 of the series where he had 10 guys in the first quarter? Like, you just don't do that in the playoffs. He had Giannis and Middleton sitting at the same time. It makes no damn sense, and they're down 2-0, and they're facing a good team that has a very good strategy against them. Have to imagine this is it. Giannis has to play heavy minutes here. He's the guy. Yeah, he's definitely the guy I think I like most spending up on, just because of the desperation of the situation here for the Bucks. And I like the other pieces too. I think Eric Bledsoe's probably my favorite play on the board when you consider price and all that. Same situation, they're going to have to play him. He came back from the injury, played 30 minutes. And the Heat are doing a good job against Giannis, obviously. So some of these other guys are going to have to step up, like him and Bledsoe, or him and Middleton have to have big games here. Bledsoe's strong play, across the industry. Middleton has a good price tag on FanDuel. He's a better play over there, but I don't think he's out of play on DK. Like the Heat or the Bucks are a team you should definitely be looking at today. You're going to want some exposure to them. A desperation mode for them.
All right, so Travis, let's do this. The rest of the Bucks that are viable in GPPs today, maybe like a cash play too. And then let's get to the Miami side and where you're really targeting tonight with the Heat.
Yeah, so Bledsoe, I like everything that Hoop said. Middleton, again, I think he's get that tight rotation. And Brook Lopez, like, he definitely makes more sense on FanDuel. FanDuel's like really gross at center. So you're going to have to like listen, on the winning lineup, you have to play one center. I know you have to on DraftKings, but like you have to always play one center. Like no matter what, one of the winners, like that center is going to be in the lineup. So you have to pick something. Brook Lopez is definitely someone worth considering. So I don't mind him. One last thing I want to make fun of on the Bucks. They have this slogan. They're called the bench mob, which is the dumbest thing ever. They pride themselves in being a good bench, and they are a shitty bench. The only guys I want to play are George Hill. I want to play George Hill. I think he's interesting as like a value, right? Like I've seen guys like Brad Wanamaker be on the winning lineups with like 5.25 fantasy points. Like I've seen it happen. So I don't hate him as a value. I think there's a little bit of better values or interesting values, I should say, that I want to take some shots on later on in other games. If you told me Dante DiVincenzo was going to get run, I'd play him, but for some reason they don't want to give him run, so I don't know what to do. But the bench mob, I'm really not too interested in. I'm not going to go to war with George Hill, Pat Connaughton, DiVincenzo, Corver, Marvin Williams. I mean, there's some bad guys. The only one I really like to get run is George Hill.
All right. So what do you think of the bench mob there? I think Hoop was going like this. Bench mob. Screw the bench mob.
I mean, it's annoying. I mean, they played the 10 guys in that first game. I think it was like, screw the bench mob. Like, give us the starters. Like, you're down 2 games. Like, you don't need a bench mob. You need like your star players to play actual minutes in the playoffs, like every other team. So, I can't trust any of these other dudes. I'm focusing on the starters today. I'm focusing on Giannis, Middleton, Bledsoe, Lopez for sure. Like, those are the 4 I feel best about. Not digging into this bench. Like there's just so much uncertainty, and you have to imagine that the minutes finally come down here a little bit for these guys.
Travis, any other thoughts on this game? They're giving you love for the Millsap call yesterday when we were doing the show. That was your call, right, Millsap?
Yeah, I got made fun of. I mean, it was a rough scene out there. People were saying like Big T's PJ Dozier is Mangone's Millsap. So yeah, the people want one. I've got a dustier play than Millsap in the next game. It might be this game. I got one that might not be as dusty. I'm looking at a couple things to make sure I want to give you the right call. But I got 2 guys I'm considering that are kind of grosser than you would think, and people might be holding their nose on. But yeah, I don't have that play in the Bucks game. I'll say that.
So you do have today's Paul Millsap, right?
Yeah, I got 2 I'm considering. I don't know which one to pull the trigger on. How about this? Go to Hoop on the Heat side, because there's one guy like I want to hear his take on it first, and then I want to look at a couple things.
Thanks for telling me on a show. I've never done this before. All right, guys, listen, Hoop. Let's start with you. Whatever Mangone just said, just do that.
The ass. I love taking orders from Mangone. It makes me feel great about myself.
Today, I like it.
The Heat side, couple guys I really like. I mean, I think you go back to Jay Crowder. He's playing 35 minutes. Could even get a bump here depending on the news on Iguodala and Olynyk. He's probably my favorite Heat guy. Dragic. Price is starting to come up a little bit, but man, the production has been there every single game so far. So the price is warranted. You know, it's 7K on DK, 7.2 on FanDuel. Very strong play, I think, across the industry. And then the guy I kind of like under the radar a little bit, which I'm assuming this is the same one that Mangone's on. That's Tyler Hero. The minutes are coming up. 29 2 games ago, 32 this past game. A lot of ball handling responsibilities as well in this offense. So I kind of like him. Butler, Bam, they're both in play too. So I mean, it's gonna be those guys. And if Iguodala, Olynyk, if they're both out, I think all those guys get a bump, and then even maybe like a guy like Duncan Robinson you can consider. But mostly going to stick to the starters. They're pretty set on playing these guys heavy minutes. I don't really think I'm going to go to the bench besides Hero, obviously.
All right, very good. I got yelled at by Travis yesterday. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. We need 94 more now. So 94 more likes. Once we get to 125, one of you is going to win some Run Pure gear. All right. So who is it? Who is it there, Travis?
It depends on Iguodala. Like this one hinges on Iguodala like needing to be out, I'm pretty sure. Again, I think the one I like more the Paul Millsap is in the next game, which again, that one's dusty too, but this is the dusty one from this game. We'll give you one in each game that I think is interesting. I don't mind Kendrick Nunn. It's a little bit of a, so here's what I kind of saw on Kendrick Nunn. It's a little queasy, but you need Iguodala to kind of be out. The reason why you need Iguodala to be out is because those minutes could either go to Nunn or Derek Smith Jr. I'll admit, I don't know which one it's going to go to. I think DSJ makes a ton of sense there because his length, they could obviously use on a guy. Or Derek Jones Jr., sorry. I'm thinking Derek Jones Jr., my bad. Thanks, Hoop.
Yeah.
But his length could be used on Iguodala. And if you saw, once when Iguodala came out of the game, what happened was they slid him into the game. But one thing I don't mind about Kendrick Nunn is I think they're going to collapse more on Dragic. The one thing I don't like about Dragic is if you saw, he took, I think it was like 26 of 33 contested threes or uncontested threes. I think I saw Mike Gallagher tweet that out. And they're not just going to let Goran Dragic kill him, right? They're going to adjust and change some things up. So I don't like Dragic as much, and his price has gone up. I personally think you might see, if they have Iguodala out of the game, you might see Kendrick Nunn come in a little bit more. I know Eric Spoelstra specifically talked about how Kendrick Nunn was a really good play for them during the regular season. They liked Kendrick Nunn in this Bucks team against this Bucks team because they thought it fit well. And with Eric Bledsoe in the lineup, the pace is a little bit faster. Even Kendrick Nunn said, with Bledsoe on the floor, this is a faster paced game. And they might want to have him for some more two-guard sets. So I don't hate the idea of Kendrick Nunn. It's a hold your nose play, and it needs Iguodala to be out. If Iguodala's in, I'm not liking it as much. So I'll update in the Discord once we get the Iguodala news, what I kind of think on that. But it's either going to be Jones Jr. or it's going to be Nunn, and I have to look at a ton of coach speak. So I can't give you the confirmed nasty Paul Millsap play in this game, but those are the two that I'm kind of looking at. The next game, I definitely got one for sure for you.
All right, very good. Hey, Pinche Baracho, did you hit? I can't believe you named his name. Himself that. He's in the chat. Hit the like button, dude. The RPS gear is on fire. I agree. But if you've already won some, help the other guys out and let them win a little bit. Hoop, let's go to game number 2. And we got Houston at the Lakers. I want to start with the Lakers side and the big names too. Like Anthony Davis, LeBron. I guess Kuzma is not as big a name, but how much exposure you're playing cash, so anybody, either one of these guys, Davis or LeBron.
So I really like Anthony Davis in this series. I mean, he should be able to have his way with a much smaller guys guarding him all series. Tucker has done an okay job against them, but small sample size. And in a potentially a 7-game series here, I really like Anthony Davis to have a big series. So I like him. I mean, he's discounted on DK to the other studs. I mean, he's 10-6 on DK. Giannis is 11-5. I'm open to potentially playing Anthony Davis over Giannis today if I need that extra $900. And not saying I'm for sure playing on it. It's tough. I mean, these lineups are tough. The pricing continues to get better throughout the playoffs, so it's not easy to make lineups in cash or even tournaments. So I don't think you have to get up here, but Anthony Davis, I really, really like in this series. I like LeBron too. I mean, this should be a good offensive game, a good offensive series. I'd probably lean Anthony Davis over LeBron if I'm choosing between those two. And then in terms of the other pieces here, Lakers are tough. I mean, it's a tough read what they're going to do here. I know people are talking Danny Green, KCP, Caruso. But Rondo's coming back to the series. Who knows what role Rondo's going to have? Rondo's only 3.2K, but we have no information on the amount of minutes. You know, I think Danny Green's probably going to end up being a popular play because he's going to be needed to guard some of these wings. He'll probably play, upper 20s, maybe even 30 minutes. But he's got to knock down some of these shots. It all comes down to hitting these shots, and he's going to have some open opportunities. He's a streaky guy. So I think he's the cheap Laker guy that I have the most interest in. Not a slam dunk value play by any means. Not too interested in the bigs. I'm not too interested in Dwight Howard or McGee. I think it's going to be a lot of Anthony Davis at center in this series, so I don't think those guys are going to play a ton of minutes. So it's Davis, it's LeBron, and then I have some interest in Danny Green just because value's tough. I mean, it's very, very tough. And, you give me a guy that's going to play upper 20s, maybe 30 minutes at 4.1K. I think he's a guy you can look at today.
Okay. Hey, Travis, maybe I thought Hoop brought up a interesting angle here is Rondo. How do you handle Rondo in the fallout from there? And are you with Hoop on Anthony Davis? And talk to me about LeBron. Those three guys, Rondo, Davis, LeBron.
Yeah, so let's start with the studs. LeBron and Davis. It's tough. Like, I think I lean going to Davis over LeBron just to get the savings. Obviously, it depends on positions too. Like, if it's LeBron versus Giannis, like, I just don't care. Like, it's Giannis. It's just plain and simple for me. Unless there's some scenario on some site that I'm not knowing that, like, the salary is going to matter. But I haven't seen that scenario pop up. I really think it's just Giannis. I'm going to do my best to jam him in over LeBron James. And I agree with Hoop. Like, what that money could do going to Davis, that can matter. And I don't mind doing that. So I'm with him on Davis over LeBron. So that's where I'm at there. Rondo, I agree. Like, Rondo could get some serious run here. I mean, one thing that's good about Rondo is, sure, he's not the best shooter, right? But he's definitely a good player with, going to the rim, right? Being able to kick out. And against these Rockets, with those big men too, you could see some alley-oops being lobbed from Rondo to a Dwight Howard, to a JaVale McGee. That could help him out. Rondo can finish around the rim. If it was Rondo going up against, like, his own centers, like going up against the guys like Dwight Howard, going up against JaVale McGee and Anthony Davis, I'd be concerned about Rondo because he finishes around the rim well. But the Rockets, I'm not worried about what they do around the rim. This could be easy for Rondo. It just depends on how many minutes they're going to get him. Again, one thing I'm going to look at a lot of coach speak leading up to the game. What are they going to do? I think that's going to be super important, looking at what kind of minutes he could be getting. If he's going to get like 12 minutes, then I really don't want him as much. But I'll say this, like I said before, I've been looking at a lot of winning lineups, and they've had some dusty plays on him. And Rondo is only 3.2K, so he's definitely in the conversation. Same with Alex Caruso. I think he's in play. You're going to want his defense on a guy like a Russell Westbrook, on a guy like, James Harden. And he makes a ton of sense in this series. So I think he's certainly in play. KCP and Danny Green, I don't mind them, but they're a little more expensive. So it depends how that kind of fills out your roster. Again, I think this is really a jamming some stars and scrubs kind of slate. So it just depends how the salary works out for you on the Lakers side of the ball. I think all four of those guys I mentioned are in play between Rondo, Caruso, Danny Green, and KCP. It's just a matter of how they kind of fit your construction. But I'm okay with kind of taking some shots on a guy like Rondo, just like Hoop said.
Hoop, you ran down the Lakers pretty good. If you had another note on that, let me know. And then I want to go to the other side with the Rockets. Now that Russ is back, what does that do to Harden in your book?
Well, it really hasn't done a lot thus far because Westbrook has sucked, and we haven't seen full Westbrook yet. I think from some of the quotes from D'Antonio, like, he's gonna be back to full minutes. I think we could expect him upper 30s today with ease. It's eventually going to have an impact on Harden, and I think that's why Harden ends up being probably the lowest owned of the studs on the slate for that reason. Westbrook coming back for full go. Now, Westbrook is an interesting one because he is about as cheap as we've seen him, like mid-8s on both sites, and that's a cheap price tag for Rondo, and he's eventually going to get there and have a big game. And he's looked rough around the edges in terms of the scoring and whatnot, but that's typically not how he gets it done. Like, he gets it done with his energy, the rebounds, assists, he'll pick up steals, blocks, and he gets a lot of easy buckets going to the rack. So I think he's a good play today. Like, I haven't played him yet, and I think today's the first day that I'm going to consider him because of the price tag and the expected minutes. I like this matchup. So I'm in on him. I'm sticking with the Covington thing. I mean, we've done the NBA shows every day together, and I've stuck with my point. Covington crushes when Westbrook is in the lineup, and for some reason he's complete dog shit when Westbrook is out. I don't know why, but it continues to happen every single game. I'm going to keep riding it. I mean, we talked about it every time I've been on here. Covington's better with Westbrook in there. The price is very moderate on both sides. I'll be back on Covington. And then PJ Tucker. I mean, another guy that plays a lot of minutes. I know there's quotes out there from the coach about, maybe expanding the rotation and whatnot. I don't see how it's possible. I just don't see how they expand this rotation. Harden's playing his minutes, right? Yes. Westbrook, minutes are going to continue to rise. Covington, they're not going to take minutes away from Covington as well as he played. And PJ Tucker is a guy that always gets minutes, like no matter what. So you have one more spot available where the minutes are kind of in flux. So I just don't see how this rotation is expanded at all. Maybe Travis has more information on that.
All right, before we get to Travis, real quick, we do have our baseball. We got the big bats coming up when we're done with the NBA, which we're close. The other thing is hit the like button on YouTube. One of you guys is going to win, or ladies, going to win some Run Pure swag. And Tony actually Big T spent a lot of money on these. This is not the jabroni stuff. This is the dry fit stuff. I'm wearing this to the gym. Mangone, your thoughts on Covington? Who brought that up? I think that's an interesting point. And then give us the lowdown on the rest of the Rockets.
Yeah, I always heard Hoop say that, like when I listen to the shows, like, I don't know why, it just happens. Covington's better. And I think it's because it's like Westbrook's the center in this lineup. Like, it sounds weird to say, but he just is. And they were going to Jeff Green and they were going to PJ Tucker, like double big lineups. So they were able not to get destroyed on the boards. And that way Covington was able to be in there. It helps with the spacing too for Covington. Here's my only concern with Covington today. The one issue I have is like Covington really thrives on steals and blocks. And like, is he going to get steals and blocks in this matchup? Like, this is a tough matchup for that. So that's my one concern I have with him. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with him, and the price has gone up, but man, he's been amazing. So that's the one thing I keep going back and forth on, trying to figure out how I'm going to approach my builds with him. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Harden and Westbrook, Westbrook is a guy, I think the price is so good, it's hard to argue. I don't know what to do with him because part of me is torn, but it's like, man, that price is just so cheap. And ideally, this isn't the greatest matchup, but I think I'm going to end up going to some Westbrook over Harden. If you force me to pick one, that's where I would be going. So here's my really, really dusty play. Like, I mean, this is dustier than Millsap. The chat might kill me, but Hoop kind of brought it up before. Like, where are those minutes going to go? D'Antoni talked about he's going to extend the rotation a bit. And this is like my one concern. Like, D'Antoni's not a guy who typically does that, so I'm a little scared to do it. And I want to just read up again. I want to read on coach quotes. I'll post some stuff in the Discord before the games if I get a chance, if I see something that's really important. If you don't hear from me, then I probably didn't see anything that was really magical on it. But Ben McLemore is the guy I think that's going to start replacing some minutes from Daniel House. That's what I was reading into the situation. I think House is the guy that is going to lose the minutes. I don't think you're going to see Covington or Westbrook. I think they're going to go to Ben McLemore. And like, you'll laugh about it a little bit, but in the first 3 games, you saw 24 minutes, 14 minutes, 18 minutes. Then you saw it go down to 9 minutes, 10 minutes, and 4 minutes. And that was because Westbrook returned. But from what I was reading, it sounds like House is the guy that might get replaced a little bit here in this spot. So I'm not too sure if that's what they're going to end up doing, but that's what it sounded like from what I read. I'll definitely update in the Discord. Again, we've talked about this on Showdown, right? Like, Big T was cashing in GPPs with PJ Dozier getting 0, right? You could just play Ben McLemore on these Showdown slates, and he costs literally nothing. He's like the flat min almost, and he's going to help you get all these stars. You're not going to win these Showdown slates from playing, Jeff Green, Covington, playing like all these mid-tier guys. You're going to need to play Westbrook, Davis, and LeBron. You're going to run out of salary. So what are you going to do then? You're going to need to have these guys that cost like 1K on DraftKings. So it's more of like a Showdown type of play, but he is 3.1K. I think I prefer Rondo to him, but it's one of those, like, it's a really dusty play, and I think it's worth taking a shot on like these 1-game slates. If you want to be different and there's a chance it happens and the coach is talking it up a little bit, why not take a shot? You want to be different on these 1-game slates.
All right, guys, anything else to add to the NBA before we move on to baseball, or are we all set?
I got one more guy on the Lakers side who I'm considering more in Hoop. I want to get your take on it too. Kyle Kuzma, doesn't he fit this game flow more a bit? I think he's someone that could be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Holden, what's your thoughts? You watch basketball too, man. What's your take on it?
No
on Kuzma? You're not Kuzma guy?
I think I said I don't like
GPP viable. That's it, right? Yeah. Is he GPP viable?
Well, I just don't see McGee and Dwight Howard playing a ton of minutes in the series. So I think some of those minutes could go to Kuzma. So I think there is some merit, but it's a risky play unless we get more information. I mean, we could get some coach talk to kind of back it up. But like I said, I just can't see Dwight and McGee playing tons of minutes here. So that could lead to more minutes for Kuzma.
All right, so just go with Travis and go against me. It's fine. It's no big deal.
I like it. I mean, the more I think about it, Kuzma's
Travis bandwagon.
Kuzma's probably the better Millsap play, right? The guy who gets more minutes, that actually gets minutes. Like, some of these plays I talked about they're pretty dusty plays that I'm digging on. And I've been digging on a lot because, like I said, I've seen Brad Wanamaker on winning lineups. I know I've talked about it, but like these, you need to be playing stars. So sometimes it's not a bad move, but I think Kuzma's interesting.
All right, very good. Let's get to the baseball side, gentlemen. And we finally found some women in chat. I'm so happy about this. Way to go. We got Leanne and Diana. I've always said this. We need more women in this. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And then I could date one of you. We could watch football together. It'd be absolutely amazing. Because, I haven't had a lady to watch football with ever. Like, do your girls watch football?
My wife hates sports. My wife hates every sport possible.
Travis,
yeah, I don't know. I dated someone last year. We watched football together, and I'll say it was better when I wasn't watching football with her. I'll just say that.
I will say this. There is something to be said because I don't like watching football with anybody else. The other sports I could deal with. Football is just it's a different animal, man, because there's so much. I can't wait. We're 6 days away. It's so awesome. Okay, baseball time, everybody. Hit the like button so one of you can win some Run Pure Sports gear. We're looking for 125. We're going to start with the pitchers today, and here's the top. We got two guys going head-to-head, Yu Darvish and Jack Flaherty. Darvish has just been nasty. He's been locating each of his 27 pitches. Cookie Carrasco's at the top two. I guess you could throw Zach Davies in there for that top pricing tier. It's really Darvish, and then Flaherty, Cookie, and Davis. So let's start with you here, Hoop, on the pitching side and the top end. Who are you considering for cash?
Yeah, Darvish definitely up there, and I will say it's easier on DK than on FanDuel. There's they got his price up there. Darvish's price pretty decently on FanDuel. On DK, it's easier to get him in. You can always pair him with a cheaper guy to make it easier as well. But he's the top guy for me if you're not considering price. I like Carrasco a little bit here at home. Up and down so far this year, but he's a strikeout guy, and you need these strikeouts. So I'll be on him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's clearly Darvish at the top.
All right, Mangone, GPPs. Darvish is going to be really popular, but can you still throw him in there in the two pitcher site and even on FanDuel?
Yeah, it's a little harder on FanDuel, and it's more so like Darvish is great. It's just I don't know what to do with pitching really, because it's not like I'm getting like Garrett Cole in like this prime spot. I think Darvish is fine. I think he's a good play. It's weird because I don't feel confident about some of these cheaper pitchers either. Like I think the gap between Darvish and the cheaper pitchers, like it's just part of me looks at it. I'm like, I just want to maybe get some bats in instead. Like I think the gap isn't as large as it could be. So I'm leaning to maybe some more cheaper pitchers. I'm still trying to figure out what to do. I like what Hoop said about Carrasco. The one thing I noticed about Carrasco was the K prop is at 6.5. The one thing I saw is he had the highest, I think the Darvish had the highest K prop at 7.5. And then Carrasco was at 6.5, and his was juiced on the under. But after that, it did get kind of ugly. It was like I saw some at 4.5, some at 3.5. So ultimately, I know I didn't give like a great answer on it. I'm a bit confused at what I want to do with these starting pitchers. I think Carrasco and Yu Darvish are certainly safe, but as we talk about it, I think I'm trying to talk myself into some of these cheaper guys instead.
So, and as one of our guys in the chat brought up, that wind is blowing out there. It's 10 miles an hour out to right field. So the question is, are these guys fly ball pitchers? Neither one of them's a fly ball pitcher. Listen, I try not to overreact to it too much. I grew up going to Wrigley. That place really is crazy. It's an amazing pitcher's park when wind blows in. It's 10 miles an hour. I get it. Would either one of you knock either one of these pitchers down big? Again, they're ground ball pitchers. You're not getting a ton of fly balls from either one of them.
I mean, the one thing I'm looking to is the game total, and it really hasn't moved all that much. I mean, it's at 8, and if we're projecting the wind to play a huge factor at Wrigley, we typically see the total go up 10.5, 11 runs. It's held steady at 8, and maybe it is for that reason because they're ground ball pitchers, strikeout guys. I'm not letting it sway my decisions one way or another here.
Yeah, Darvish is 45% ground ball pitcher.
Yeah.
So that's nice. You know what? And I go to Flaherty, it's 35.5 fly ball. So it's a little bit below average. But again, that doesn't, like if a guy's up there at 40%, 45, 50%, forget about it. I'm fading it. But what do you think, Travis?
Yeah, the one thing to kind of like about Darvish too, and again, I'm trying to figure out if I can talk myself into it, but again, it's tough. And I think Darvish, he's mixed his pitches up a lot more in past years. Like he has more in his arsenal. On top of that, he's mixing them differently, and like that's going to be confusing to a team that typically has seen him a ton. So I think Darvish is definitely a guy that if you force me to pick, I want to get him in. But the bats, man, like there's bats I want to spend on. I just don't know if I'm going to get there. So we'll have to talk about these guys that are a little bit cheaper. I'm curious where Hoop is at on some of these cheaper guys.
Yeah, and I'm also interested to see if that suppresses Darvish's ownership tonight too. I mean, that might be a benefit if his ownership's depressed because people are thinking that the wind's going to change it. Hey, listen, maybe he gives up 12 runs tonight because the ball's flying out, but I just like this guy's stuff. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. He's locating every pitch that he has, not walking anybody, and he's keeping the ball on the ground. So I'm right there with him. Darvish is my guy if you're paying up tonight. Flaherty and Cookie are fine too. What about this mid-tier Hoop for cash? People are always afraid to start Dylan Bundy for some reason. I know it's Houston. Altuve's out, but Altuve's been a chasm. Did you see Altuve yesterday rack himself? That was horrible.
Just makes you wonder how much that drum beating, buzzing thing played a role in the success of these guys because they're struggling a little bit this year. So
he's I think there's other factors at work with Altuve, how he's gotten so strong, but that's about it with Altuve. He slid into third yesterday, nuts first, and it was bad. And then he hurt his knee. He's stick a fork in him for tonight. Anyways, let's just get back to pitching. I digress once again.
Sticking with that same game, I have some interest in Flaherty. I mean, there obviously the concerns of the pitch count, but it's on its way up. 41, 64, 83 pitches. Have to imagine he's good for, I don't know, probably 90, maybe even mid-90s if he's pitching well. He's only 9.4K. I like him. Coming down a little bit. You know, I just keep my pitcher pool pretty simple, and I always have. Got interest in Corbin Burns at 8K. He's been pitching very well, actually, very, very well. Has yet to get a start where he's got knocked around. So I have interest in him. And Luzardo is the other guy I have interest in at 7.7K on DK. Don't love the matchup, but this guy's been pitching good. And outside of one start, he got bombed one start, but outside of that, he's been solid. So, from the mid sevens and above, that's kind of where I'm at. Darvish, Carrasco, Flaherty, Burns, and Luzardo.
And I guess the last guy to ask you about if you went down, and I guess he's not on your list, is Taylor Clark. I mean, Clark's, the strikeout numbers came last time against San Francisco. That's a good hitting team. He's Colorado. I mean, it's going to be cheap, right? What is he, 4.8 on DraftKings, 6.8 on FanDuel? So is that somebody you won't consider him in cash?
Oh, I mean, I'm willing to go a little riskier in cash games if I have an offense that I absolutely love. But I'm not seeing that, to be honest with you. So on this slate, I probably wouldn't do that. But if there was, let's say, a Coors Field slate with a total of 12.5 runs, I'd definitely be fine going down to a cheap pitcher. I'm just, not seeing that expensive offense that I need to jam in tonight. So I am probably not going to go there in cash games, but in tournaments, absolutely, I'd be fine playing them.
All right, so we got what do we got on the GPP side besides for Darvish and Flaherty in the top end?
Yeah, so
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I know. Hoop keeps a tighter course. So that's why I thought it was going to me, and that's one thing that he does awesome at with pitching. And I can talk myself into some guys sometimes. Like, can we talk ourselves into Dustin May? I mean, Colorado sucks on the road. Like, Hoop, Colorado sucks on the road. I mean, you play Coors a ton. Could you talk yourself into that one? Like, I don't know. That's the guy that I was looking at that could be interesting. But the problem is, what do we got? We got Dave Roberts, right? Like, he always pulls his guys too quick. Holden, you probably know this a little better than me. Has he been pulling May a little too early?
I think so. I mean, personally, but then again, I mean, he's a really young pitcher. He doesn't have a ton of innings under his belt, and I'm sure they want to keep him, fresh for the postseason. So I'm with you on May, though. This dude, I'd like to see a little bit more in the strikeout department. He's right around 20%, but everything else is working for him. Nobody's hitting fly balls off of him. He's just a stud. And, I mean, if you can live there's probably a difference between strikeout rate and the actual strikeouts at this, maybe a little bit different, but that's the only thing that scares me about May. But Man, you're right, dude. That Colorado offense is just brutal on the road. Like maybe Arenado, maybe Story when we talk about that offense, but the rest of the guys are stiffs. They're just not doing it. So that's where I'm standing at. What do you think about May? Hoop?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind him. It's just, that's the concern, obviously, as a coach yanking him out there early. I mean, he's not going to go out there and pitch, 95 pitches. It's going to be low to mid 80s, and that really limits the upside, especially when you're talking about a guy that's 8.7K where, you want him pitching into the 90s, but you're just not going to get that. But the matchup is good, obviously.
Averaged over his last 4 starts, 2 Ks. Can't have that, can you?
No. So, that's a good point. Probably won't.
On your radar, Travis?
No, I don't think I can end up doing it. I think the more I like talking about the slate and looking at it, I think all those guys that Hoop mentioned are like great plays and like keep your pitching core tight. And then if you're looking for pivots, you know what the pivot is? It's just going all the way to the bottom with like Dane Dooney and Kikuchi, who I think are really interesting. I mean, Dane Dooney, the one word I have is like, this is his second start against the Royals in a row, and he's a young pitcher, and they have a tight leash on him. So that's the one issue I kind of have with him. And then Kikuchi, it's like Texas, right? Like, I love attacking Texas. He's definitely an SP that I'm really looking at on this slate, and I think is a strong play. I don't mind him on FanDuel. I don't know if I for sure need the money. Listen, there's offenses I like, and I'm still kind of going back and forth. And it depends on what lineups come out, because sometimes you just instantly gain value. You'll be looking at a team like we saw it yesterday, Holden. We were looking at the Phillies, and we said, okay, McCutchen is a guy we were considering. And then, Roman Quinn just popped up, and he was some value you could throw in. So it was like, all right, we already had a ton of value, and he was another guy you could go to. So lineups could dictate what I do with these starting pitchers. I'll post in my core plays what I'm kind of thinking. But I'm kind of thinking it's the guys that Hoop mentioned, and then it's going down to Dooney or going down to Kikuchi.
Okay. Let's get into the bats now. And I want to remind everybody, we're getting close on these likes. 125, and somebody's getting some Run Pure gear. We got all this offense to talk about, and we are only 33 away. So just hit it. Boom. It's really easy. And then we got it. Somebody wants to know about Kikuchi. Forget Kikuchi. I mean, he's off my list now. Stick a fork in. I'm so
sorry. Wait, what's wrong with Kikuchi? I just mentioned him. He's in play, no?
Kikuchi.
It's anyone against
money away. Play Kikuchi.
Nah, anyone against Texas, man. Come on, like we got to get on board with it. I'm loving it. I think it's definitely in play.
Kikuchi's a jabroni. That's what he should just change his name to Yusiko Jabroni, and that'll be a lot better for him. Hoop, did you want to say something or no? You're just looking. No.
Yeah, I can't agree. You can't force me to agree with Mangone for on back-to-back takes. So.
Yeah, and then maybe this is his Millsap moment again, except it's like play Kikuchi, and then he's taking down these tournaments. So whatever, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Hey man, anything in Texas, man, I'm always in on. So curious if that roof is open too. If anyone knows that in the chat, let us know, because that matters for sure at that stadium a little bit. Right?
I'm looking at this Milwaukee-Cleveland game, and I don't like any of it. To be honest with you, you got a couple of good starting pitchers going tonight, and Carrasco and Burns. Now, the Indians have hit better the last 2 weeks, but I'm still not seeing the home runs out of them. So that's kind of a problem. Then on the Milwaukee side, give me a break. I mean, Hoop, is there anybody cash viable in this game? Maybe Yelich or Hira? Anything?
No, I like both these pitchers. I keep it pretty simple. If I'm playing pitchers, I'm not going to really play the offenses against them. There's, you can always make the case for Christian Yelich, but it's a tough case to make today. I won't be playing any offense from this game whatsoever. And that's the thing with baseball. Like, that's okay to do that too. Like, you have so many games. I mean, 9-10 games. Like, you don't have to consider every offense. So when I have the chance to go ahead and just cross these offenses off, I do it. And these are 2 that I won't be playing today.
Anybody in there in GPPs, Travis?
Hold on. I don't have the right.
By the way, while you're looking this up, I'll help you kill some time. Like, what did your grandparents call you? What do your parents call you? Do they call you Mangone?
They just call me Travis, I guess. There's other names, parents call you, but we won't say those on air, but childhood names. But no, just Travis, man.
They'd just be calling you by their last name, so it really doesn't make sense. GPPs in this game, anything?
So I mean, obviously the Brewers side of the ball, it's like I just can't get behind it. And like the Indians, they've been fun, but I like them in spots where it just feels like a smash, right? And Corbin Burns, I like both these pitchers, so I just can't get behind it.
Okay, good. I don't blame you. So now we got Philadelphia and the Mets. And on the bet side, I was doing a show with JJ last night, and I was saying to myself, gosh, these Phillies bats going up against Porcello, and then on the other side, you got Arrieta going. I mean, this is just two pitchers that are not good at this point. Arrieta's got no velocity, and his spin rate's gone. And, for Porcello, he was supposed to be the next great pitcher with the Tigers with Verlander and then Scherzer, and he just – he had that 1 year where he won the Cy Young because 20 wins, and that was about it. So, this to me is going to be a game that is heavily targeted. If you had to pick one side, which offense would it be and why?
So for cash games, it's going to be the Mets. You go to the Mets here for sure. In tournaments, I love going to the Phillies because I agree with you. Porcello is just not great and, never really lived up to, what everyone thought he was going to be. And I saw it firsthand because, I'm from the Metro Detroit area and everyone thought he was the next coming and just never got there. And he had the 1 year, like you said, but that's mostly because of wins opposed to anything else. So Mets, I think there's a lot of plays here and, they're not that expensive either on DraftKings. So it's easy to get them in and still pay up for pitching. So like the Mets, I like the Phillies in tournaments. It's just a strong lineup top to bottom.
All right, what do we got here? Individual players there, Travis, from these two games, because you would think they're all going to be pretty highly owned, right?
Yeah, I mean, this game's definitely in play. I probably don't like it as much as you'd think. I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's a decent spot to attack. But I'm still kind of going back and forth on how I want to approach this game. Obviously, I want to see what the lineups are going to look like here. I think Porcello maybe doesn't get killed as much as you think he will. Again, I'm not a huge Porcello guy, but I think it could be one of those outings where he just kind of gets through. Like Vegas, too, is telling us that, right? Like it's not like this above like total of like 5, I guess. I mean, it has gone up a little bit more. I'm looking at it. So maybe I'm wrong. Didi Gregorius, too, in that 3-hole. That's a nice spot for Didi that you're seeing. So that's a little bit of an upgrade. I think his price tag on FanDuel is a little bit better than DK1 at the shortstop spot. Obviously, all these guys, if you have Bryce Harper out of the lineup, all these guys get a kind of a bump in the lineup, right? Jay Bruce moved up to the 6-hole. So that's obviously encouraging to see. He definitely has beat up the Mets a little bit there. So that could be nice. And then Arrieta, I'm not a huge Arrieta guy. And I think Steve Anthony in the chat was saying, we want to beat up Anthony, or not Anthony. We want to beat up Arrieta. He's an absolute gas can. So some of these lefties, right? That's when I want to play the Mets, when they have this guy like Arrieta who can get beat up on him. So I think taking shots at home run calls, right? Taking a shot on a Conforto, a Nemo, Dominic Smith, Cano. This lineup's not bad. So more talking it through. I think Mets lefties is where I want to go, and maybe throw in some righties here and there. But I'm not as high on the Philly side of the ball. I like the Mets side a little more.
Well, so you're not high on the Philly side of the ball just because the bullpen, or you think Porcello can get it done today? Porcello sucks.
Yeah, I mean, he does, but why is that total not above 5, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just surprised it's not above 5 there, Holden. That's the one thing that's holding me back. And maybe I'm wrong for that. Maybe that's an edge we can have, and maybe more people aren't playing the Phillies, but that's kind of where I'm at.
It's gone from 114 down to 109. So there's some under 4.5 money on that side. That's why I got in last. Yeah, it was. And then the Mets, I mean, you're getting plus money with them at 5.5 runs. So Vegas at least thinks that they're going to score a lot of runs, right? So you guys are right there with them. You both think the Phillies are the side to play in this one. But do they put up 6 runs? That's a lot of runs to put up in a night. That's White Sox territory right there.
Very true. Why not just play them instead, you know?
They're hitting 6 runs. If they are, I'm just stacking them. Yeah.
Holden. I mean, is it a day that ends in Y? Like we just play them, man. I mean, they're gonna put up more than 5.5 runs. How about this, Holden? Let's do this right now. We'll do this live on air. I told people yesterday, I said, if you don't have a Run Pure Bet subscription, I said, I gave you a 2-unit play. I even said it on Twitter, the 500,000 unit banger on the Clippers at -6, right? That's what I said on the show yesterday. And I said, -6 is gone, but you know what? You can still get them at -9.5. They're going to win by double digits. I said that on the show. White Sox, they're putting up more than 5.5 runs, Holden. Go place that bet right now. And if you haven't put your Run Pure Bet subscription in, you better do it when I give you the second winner in a row. I mean, come on. I gave it to you yesterday. So that's what we're going to do here, Holden. We're going to say White Sox put up more than 5.5 runs today, and go put in your Pure Bet subscription, and you won't miss out on Hoop's plays, right? Hoop is 2-0 on giving out those winners. So they don't come off in Hoop. Do you got one maybe in the chamber?
Did you hit in basketball?
Yeah, I mean, my whales are like 153,254 and 0. So it's pretty impressive stuff.
The biggest Dave over here. And now you guys got me like second guess. I hate this. Now I'm second guessing myself about the Mets offense. Let's just finish this fucking show and I'll worry about DFS. Let's do the DFS thing. Everybody wants this. Okay, so we got through our first two games here. Here we go. White Sox. You know what, Trav? Just take it. White Sox at the Royals. They're going up against Singer. Over under 10.5 runs for Chicago.
Yeah, so the thing I looked at last night, I wanted to like be super high on this side. Obviously, Danny Duffy was a guy that we crushed. And the thing I like about this Royals series in general is we just played against Danny Duffy. We just played against Brady Singer, and being able to play against that pitcher a second time in a row is massive. And the thing I looked at with Singer, he's a young guy, but the one thing I noticed was he only throws fastballs and sliders. I mean, that's all the dude throws. He has nothing else in his arsenal. Like, this could just be a stone disaster for him. So I kind of like maybe attacking these White Sox here again. Like, one thing I'm a little upset about is we don't get our, my boy Luis Robert. We don't get him at the 7 hole anymore, right? He's finally moved up to the 5 hole. He just keeps smashing every single night. On a FanDuel 3 or 4 game slate yesterday, the dude was only like 9% owned. I mean, that's just criminal for a guy that's putting up the numbers he's had. He's had 11 home runs this year. And if you look at the game log, Holden, the guy just prints. I mean, 22 fantasy points, 20, he had 0, 0. Then he goes 25, 20, 10, 17, 2, 13, 30. I mean, he's Ricky Bobby. He's Mr. First or Last. So he's a guy I want to be getting in my lineups in tournaments. He's in the 5 hole. He's a good way to maybe still be unique. Eloy Jimenez, too. He's another guy who's been mashing. Abreu, Moncada, Anderson. It's tough to obviously nail down which White Sox it's going to be every time, but just make like 5 White Sox stacks, right? Like, go on some of those low dollar things. Get exposure on different sides of them. Play a little bit of Mazzara, Nick Madrigal. We don't have my boy Danny Mendick. He's been the man, super cheap and been absolutely crushing. But up and down, this lineup's incredible. Like, just get exposure to it in so many different ways. And don't be afraid to play that 5 through 9, right? Don't just play the 1 through 4. Like, that's just ridiculous. Play some of these guys towards the bottom of the order. It's going to make your White Sox stacks unique. And there's tons of power and pop down there. So over 5.5 runs, we're taking that one to the bank, Holden.
All right, that's the White Sox side. We're going to just fade the Royals, right? Hey, what about you, Hoop? How many of these White Sox are cash viable?
Yeah, I mean, on DK, it's a little tough. I mean, the price tags are up there. I mean, Tim Anderson, 5.5, Moncada, 5.6, Abreu, 5.4. Encarnacion is fairly priced at 4.2, but everyone else is up there. So, I mean, you're going to sacrifice some pitching if you're going to play these guys. So it makes it a little bit difficult. I mean, if you're going to stack them in tournaments, you're definitely going to have issues if you want to play Darvish. So it's going to force you to come down a little bit. It's only negative, I'll say. Cash games probably won't have many of these guys because of the price tag.
All right, very good. That's interesting. That's the way to fade it, right? We also have the Cardinals visiting the Cubs. We already talked about this. The 2 pitchers. You're not going anybody in this game, right? Offensively? No. And then Mangone. Wind is blowing out again. I think this is going to change a lot of people's minds. 10 miles an hour to right field. To me, it scares me a lot more when it's blowing out to straight center. You got Darvish, a ground ball pitcher, strikeout pitcher. Flaherty's not an extreme fly ball guy.
Yeah, so let's see if I can give you guys a little bit of a sales pitch here. So Flaherty's been giving up some hard contact, right? If you look, and I talked to JT about this. I was DMing with him a little bit about some of the MLB plays today, and he was saying, Flaherty's giving up some hard contact, 40%, 34%. Wind is blowing out a bit. Flaherty, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but his BABIP, right? He's due for a little bit of regression coming his way, and the Cubs have been pretty hot, right? I'm sure Hoop is in this camp too. He likes riding the bats that are hot. The Cubs have been a bit hot. The one thing that I was unfortunate is they took Ian Happ out of the lineup. It's like, why did we take him out of the lineup today? He's been crushing the ball. Like, what's the point of that? So the lineup's a little watered down with Schwarber, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, and then it goes Hayward in the 5 hole, Contreras, Garantini, Cameron Maybin, and Kipnis. So that gives me a little bit of pause, but I was thinking maybe we could get on this with the wind blowing out with some of the hard contact Flaherty's been giving up, but I don't love that lineup. I don't know. Hoop, did I give you a sales pitch with the hard contact and JT liking it and some of the BABIP? I know those aren't numbers you're big on, but that lineup kind of sucks now the more I look at Jason Hayward at the 5 hole.
Yeah, pretty weak lineup. I mean, it's a tough one because if you do stack, you just got to go to the top because those guys at the bottom you definitely don't want to play. Yeah, I mean, I can see the argument. It's just not my sort of play.
All right. We got about halfway through the slate. Houston visiting the Angels. And it's Dylan Bundy, who's got some good numbers this year. I like Dylan Bundy. He's finally healthy. On the Angels side, they're going to face Lance McCullers. I mean, is there an edge to be had here, Travis, and GPPs by playing anybody from this game?
I mean, like, Bundy's been great this year. Like, I want to get behind him, but like, do I want to spend that price on him? The problem is, I think like the more I look at it, I want to more so just pay down at pitcher to get bigger bats, right? Like going to Bundy, I don't feel like I'm getting this massive edge or anything. So I'm not on this game. I'm just kind of off it completely, and I'm out on this one. No thanks. We'll go to a different game.
Yeah, again, it doesn't really seem like there's too much cash here, is there, Hoop?
No, it's a good game to avoid. Two pitchers that are good enough. I'm just, no thanks.
Take a fork in it. Well, here's another one then. We got Texas going against Kikuchi. I mean, if you want to make a case for some of these Texas bats, go ahead. It's extraordinarily risky. So I guess if you're MME, and by all means, throw that in, target Kikuchi a little bit. But on the Seattle side, this is another bad offense. They've got a couple of pieces. There was a couple of weeks ago when they were putting some runs up. That was really nice, but we just haven't seen a lot out of them. And tonight we get Cody, and this is, going back to last year, he's been a good pitcher. He keeps the ball on the ground. He strikes out. His strikeout rate is up around 38%. Here's the problem. He walks 19%. You can't have that. That's a little bit scary. But neither offense interests me tonight. Travis, GPPs, anything?
Yeah, so I was looking at the numbers. Some of his like sample size seems a little low, and I'm not out here grinding the, I'm not like Big T out here grinding all the minor leaguers and the up and coming players. Yeah. So I don't know much about Kyle Cody, but the numbers seem like they're a little, it's a little bit too small of a sample. The issue I have, it's like, do I want to stack up the Seattle Mariners? I mean, they have some power and pop. They feel better for if you're going to attack that spot, like maybe a mini stack of some of these guys, maybe a mini stack of this Marmolejos, White in France, or Kyle Lewis or Kyle Seager. But maybe just taking like a couple guys here and there that can hit a home run. But I'm not too excited about this game. I think overall, and I like Kikuchi more than others, I think this is more of a stay away spot. I like other offenses on this slate, so I'm just going to kind of avoid it, I think.
Yeah. The one thing I will add real fast is those Texas bats are cheap. Like they are super cheap. Look at some of those price tags. Talking multiple guys below 3K.
Tavares is 2K, and if he's the leadoff guy, hey, listen, I don't think this is the easiest slate for salary. Do we have like a catcher that cheap? That Jose Trevino's there, right, against the lefty at 2.7K. If he's batting third, it's rare, Hoop, you get a 2.7K catcher batting third.
Yeah. So there's some value potentially. We don't have the lineup yet.
And just talk about Cody real quick. He was their minor league pitcher of the year in 17, and then he missed the last 2 years, 18 and 19. With Tommy John. So he's coming back now, and he doesn't have a big sample. There's not too much going on with him. So we'll see what happens tonight. I think it is a pretty easy – in cash, you're not even thinking about it. Colorado and the Dodgers, we kind of ruled out the Colorado side already, didn't we? And, Antonio Senzatella has been a pretty decent pitcher, man. But the problem is going up against the Dodgers and right-handers. Travis, how popular are these guys in GPP tonight? Who are you taking from the Dodgers side? And could you get a little crazy with Arenado tonight?
Definitely not getting crazy with Arenado. But, I mean, the Dodgers side, you have to have some type of interest. But the problem with this Dodgers lineup is, you are paying a premium for them, right? And for a good reason, right? The implied total is great. But part of me looks at Senzatella, and I'm like, is this a guy I really want to pick on totally? One issue I have with stacking up the Dodgers completely, the 5-man stack, is Senzatella doesn't walk guys, right? Sure, if you're going to guarantee me Senzatella is going to give up 5 home runs, I want to be in on that. That'd be a great time. But the issue I have is he's not getting those walks. You know what the walks does? It keeps turning the lineup and gets guys on base. And then what happens is when I get that Cody Bellinger 3-run shot and I have Mookie Betts and Max Muncy, I just get all the points, right? I get 40 points and I just print. It just all moves. I move up the leaderboard. So I'm sure Hoop's going to have some cash interest. I have some cash interest too, but their prices are just so expensive. I don't know what to do with it. So I'm curious to see what the lineup is. That's, I think, going to dictate a lot of how I approach the Dodgers today.
Hoop? Dodgers.
Yeah, I really like the Dodgers. I mean, it's kind of my thing to stack these later teams that, the lineups don't come out until closer to lock. So I'm going to stick with that. They'll probably, in tournaments be the team I look to the most. I get the argument about the walks and whatnot, but I'm looking at this team total, between 5.5 and 6. I'm not saying they're going to be low owned, but it's another situation like we talked about with the White Sox. Like, you're probably not playing Darvish if you stack these guys, so you are giving up something at pitcher. It makes it tough to play the expensive guys there, but Dodgers will be probably my highest owned team today.
All right, that's going to be high on the GPPs too. You would think they got a nice
yeah.
Just the lineup's just so good. Padres, this is the big question tonight, guys. Okay, so I heard you, Hoop. You like Luzardo. I love Luzardo. I really think this kid's one of the better young left-handed pitchers in the game. But he also has, and this game's in Oakland, so it's just going to be gigantic ballpark. It's not like the Padres playing a good hitter's ballpark either, but Luzardo's going up against the Padres tonight. How are you handling the Padres? Is that just a fade in cash? And then Mangone, when he's done, maybe you can tell me your thoughts on this, because this is interesting. It's talent versus a good pitcher. Hoop?
Yeah, I'm on Luzardo, so it's I'm not going to be on the Padres, especially in cash games. Won't have any of the Padres. This is not a game for offense for me. Like, I'm not going to be on any offense in cash games or tournaments. It's Luzardo and nothing else for me from this game, to be honest.
Padres, Travis.
Yeah, so like the Padres, I went with Heaney yesterday. I thought he was a really good play. I thought he was great in cash, and it worked out, right? Heaney pitched a pretty solid game overall. I did it for the K upside, right? That was the whole point. Like, not the upside, the floor. I talked about that. Hey, let's say he does get rocked a little bit. Let's say he gives up a couple of home runs. No harm, no foul. Like, those Ks are going to be there. And I kind of feel that way with Luzardo. Again, this is not the same because Heaney had that 6.5 K, strikeout number. Luzardo's at 4.5, and it's heavily juiced on the over. I think we can get away with it here. And sure, people are going to say, well, the Padres, they beef up their lineup with the trade deadline. But what they beef it up with? They beefed it up with Mitch Moreland, who's a lefty. And they have a lot of lefties in this lineup, right? With Trent Grisham, with Eric Hosmer, Jake Cronenworth's another guy who's there who's a lefty. Like, yes, am I going to have to dodge Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado in this lineup? Yes, we're going to have to dodge them. But the one thing I kind of like here about Luzardo is there's a lot of lefties in there, and I think you can take advantage of them enough. So I think Luzardo's a really sharp play here. The more I think about it, based on his price tag and as I build some lineups out, he might be a guy that makes that cash game core plays. The price isn't bad over there on DraftKings. You get him at what? It's 7.7K. So yeah. I'm going to have to consider it more. Again, that implied total too. I like to agree with Vegas. 3.72 on that total. And the Bats, they feel like they've cooled down a little bit in San Diego. It's not like Tatis and Machado are going to hit, it's a 60-game season. They're not going to hit, 50 home runs in a year. They're going to have some days where they're off, and this could be one of those off days.
So we are 12 likes away from 125. Once we hit 125, one of you will be winning some Run Pure gear. Oh, Uncle T likes Luzardo too. I think we all like Luzardo a little bit, don't we?
Yeah, this feels like the Run Pure play. Like, all the stars align, and this feels like the guy that we're going to get behind a little bit here. Yeah,
I still need to know. I mean, both of you guys are on the Phillies offense more than the Mets. This is just personally, and that's so. It's driving me nuts.
So hold on. Maybe you misheard me. Like, I think I like the Mets offense more than the Phillies offense, but I'm just not as high on that game as I guess I am other spots. Like, I don't think it's a bad spot for sure. Like, I'm more so like taking like one-offs here and there than maybe stacking it up, because I think a lot of people are stacking it up.
All right, we got 5 more likes and you guys are in, and we got one more game, then we'll do our stacks. I'm sure we got other stuff to talk about. Taylor Clark going to the mound for Arizona. I mean, it's not a guy I really want to pick on. That being said, I love Yastrzemski and I love Dickerson, and these guys, always seem to be in a pool for me. And then the other side is a Coors Field reject in Tyler Anderson, and he's going to be very low owned tonight. But he's been a little Jekyll and Hyde. If you want to target guys that hit lefties really well, I would recommend that. Travis, GPPs from this game, last game of the night. Anybody going to be watching? I will be.
Yeah, I know Hoop won't be. I don't think I'll be watching this one either. I'll say that. Like, Tyler Anderson is a guy to attack. Like, I don't mind taking shots on him, like, or not him, but like taking shots against him with some Diamondbacks. But this doesn't feel like a full-on stack spot by any means. I don't know. I'm not in love with this game. Feels like one that I'm staying away from. I guess I'll get your guys' take on it because I'm not as excited about this game.
Hoop?
Yeah, I mean, I have moderate interest in these pitchers. I guess the one thing I've kind of realized as we've gone game by game through this slate is I think I'm going to prioritize pitching a little bit, make sure I get in like maybe a Yu Darvish. Like I'm not super high on many offenses here. Like I like the Dodgers. They're probably my favorite, but nothing stands out as like I have to get these guys in. So I think now that we've gone through everything, I feel pretty good about making sure I get the pitchers I feel comfortable with on this slate.
So then the question is, where's Lazard? Because we talked about this at the beginning.
Yeah,
a little evolution in your thought process.
On DK, I'm going to try to get Darvish. Like I want Darvish in there. I think now I feel much better about just playing Darvish. Luzardo would be potentially an SP2. I think we all kind of like Luzardo. So I think Darvish in like a mid tier is what I'm gonna be trying to do now.
All right, very good. We got our stacks, we got our home run calls, we got 3 more likes. That's it. You're only there, Joshua, for the Schmedium swag. All right, fine. We'll see if I pick you out though. 3 more likes, and one of you is getting some Run Pure gear. So stacks tonight. Here's Mangone's. The White Sox are number 1, correct?
Oh, that's Travis's. I mean, Travis is all over the White Sox.
No. My bad. I mean, Jesus, you're just embracing this alter ego a little.
This is JJ's fault, by the way. This is all JJ's fault. I didn't come up with it myself. Like, you can blame him for it. So,
wasn't it JSU?
Nah. It was JJ started on like a betting show, and then it just kind of happened, and people are loving it. So we're sticking with it for now.
We got multiple personality guys. Those are always fun people to work with. So White Sox are number 1. And then what? The Mets are number 2. Who's number 2? Dodgers?
I'd probably say it's the Dodgers. It seems lame, right? Like that feels like Mangone's like jumping in and being like, just play the Dodgers. And I think one reason I said I like the bats on this slate, just because I like the White Sox so much, right? That's definitely a spot I want to attack a bit. So that's definitely my favorite spot. I would say Dodgers, and then I guess I'll lean with saying probably we'll probably go with the Mets, I guess. If I have to pick the third one, I'd say it's that. And it's mainly the lefties, right? Because they got some power and pop in them, and Arrieta is not good.
What about you there, Hoopage?
I'm going to go Mets 1 because they're affordable. I like the price tags. I'm going to go Dodgers, and which they're not affordable, and you're going to have to sacrifice some pitching and GPPs. And then I'm going to come back to the Phillies because another offense that I think is I can work them in without sacrificing much.
Yep, that's a pretty popular game. Home run calls? Anything? Anybody? Anyone?
I'll go Dominic Smith. Woo. I'm going to go Didi Gregorius, and then I need to find I'm going to go AJ Pollock.
Okay. Mangone. Hey, Hoop, will you scroll through the YouTube
yes,
chat?
I'm on it.
I just want to give it to a lady, but I know we can't do that because it's got to be random. So that's fine. We do it. It's nice to see we got a couple ladies in the chat here. It's wonderful. Mangone, who's hitting home runs? Abreu, Encarnacion, and Anderson.
Yeah, listen, I am giving you 3 White Sox, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna give you Mr. Yon Moncada, right? I mean, against the righty, that's one of the go-tos, right? So we'll go with him. We'll go with Mr. Luis Robert. I mean, he always just homers. It does not matter. So we'll go with him. I think he's in a pretty good spot there. So we'll hammer it home with him again. And the last guy we'll give you Eloy Jimenez. He's another guy I like roster in the outfield. It's always a back and forth. Do I play Eloy? Do I play Robert? Because there's so many guys you want to jam in the lineup. How about this? Let's just play both. Let's take both guys.
All right, fine. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. Who's our winner here, Hoop? Guys, I mean, you could tell me you're windmilling and everything like that, and I love you. Thank you very much, Ilya Katz. But I got I'm taking myself out of this one because I want to give it to the lady, and that's just not fair to do.
All right, this is one that I randomly landed on, and the comment is just pure gold. KY Buddha, and the comment is nothing wrong with dating your sister. LOL. So, KY Buddha.
Way to go, KY Buddha. As I'm going to start doing now at the end of these shows, it's a lot better when JSU works with me. I'm just going to correct your pronunciations at the end rather than just sabotage the show in the middle. It's Dane Dunning, not Dooning. That's
Dane
okay.
Dunning. Gotcha. Okay.
That
Dane
was a
Dunning.
very low one. But I'm starting, we're working a lot together. Like Travis, I know what you're going to say most of the time. Hoop, I know what you're going to say now. This is 2 times. It's not Carmaggio, and you went D'Antonio. You just
I realized that one after I said it.
Actually, Mangonio is a wonderful name. That's your third personality. What's Mangonio thinking today?
Mangonio's thinking that KY Buddha guy. Mangonio's thinking that's Big T's like neighbor. That's what it
has to be.
That's what Mangonio's thinking right now.
Oh, you love it too. You love a new personality, Mangonio. I don't know what Mangonio. I was talking to JSU about this too. We're doing a cash show in the NFL. Like you are the 3 of us, right? I don't know about any just straight cash shows, homie. I don't have it in front of me when it's going to air, but with the NFL starting next week, if you're a cash game player, Travis is going away. Mangone's going to be there. Hoop's going to be there, and I'll be there. And I could not be more excited about NFL season. So this is going to be pretty.
It's going to be awesome.
Good stuff. Good times. You know what it was today? It finally kicked in for me. Like it's 6 days with less than a week, and now I'm excited. It just felt weird for a while, didn't it?
It still doesn't seem real. 6 days, it's here.
Yeah, it's here. That's it.
You know when it's going to feel real, Hoop? It's going to feel real when I post that jet ski video you got a Big T on the internet. It's going to be so good, right?
Oh my. Yeah, that thing's going to be gold. That thing is gold.
For Captain back in the studio and Hoop and Mangonio, I'm Holden. And do we have more programming tonight, by the way? I don't know.
Showdown Playbook. That's the key one. But get on over all the stuff at Run Pure Sports.
All right. I'll catch you guys on